So the Prius is obviously the OG of hybrid vehicles. It debuted in 2021, and this, the 2023, is the 5th generation Prius. Obviously, we got a new design, which we'll go over, new interior, which we'll cover. And this isn't just the Prius, this is the Prius Prime, which means it's a plug-in hybrid, not just a hybrid. And it's currently 17 degrees outside today with a feels like temperature in the single digits. So most of the talking to the camera you're gonna see me is gonna be inside the car, but let's get this thing started. All right, and as promised, we're inside the car right now. Let's quickly hit on the trims, and we'll talk about some of the exterior, and then I'll show you around the interior. We'll take it for a drive, and then we'll wrap it up talking about the price and some of my final thoughts on this Prius Prime. So there are 3 trims available with the Prius Prime. You have the SE, the XSE, and then the SXE Premium. This is the SXE Premium, so it's basically the top of the line. Got a lot of features to try to cover here, starting with the exterior. So this new Prius boasts a sleek and sporty design, standing 2 inches shorter, 1 inch wider, and 1 inch longer than its predecessor. This Prius Prime is colored in supersonic red and paired with machine finished 19-inch wheels exclusive to the XSE grade. It's a very aggressive yet sophisticated appearance for a Prius. Definitely had a lot of questions about it. I even had a few people ask me if it was a Tesla. This new body design comes with a lot of new quirks. It's actually a bit less efficient than the previous body design, with a higher coefficient of drag. The previous Prius had a 0.25 coefficient of drag. This has a 0.27 coefficient of drag. What does that mean in real world numbers? I'm not completely sure, but they did sacrifice a little bit of the efficiency to make a sleeker, nicer design, and I'm not hating on them at all for that. We do have nice LED daytime running lights with a unique design. We have bi-LED projector low and high beam headlamps, full LED tail lights, and one of the big features here on this XSE Premium is the solar charging roof, which will put electricity back into the battery just by sitting out in the sun. Looking at the full size of the vehicle, it has a wheelbase of 108.3 inches, a full length of 181.1 inches, a height of 56.3 inches, a width of 70.2 inches, and a ground clearance of 6.1 inches. Popping the hatch and taking a look at the cargo volume, we have 20.3 cubic feet of cargo volume in the rear hatch. And again, this is integrated nicely into the design of the vehicle. And I love that it's a hatch and not just a trunk, but the Prius has traditionally been a hatch. But it gives you plenty of cargo volume for luggage, for groceries, definitely for our camera gear that we carried for this video. Taking a look under the hood, we have a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. Definitely a very sophisticated engine. It's a hybrid engine paired with a electric motor driving the front wheels. The gas engine puts out 150 horsepower, but combined you're looking at 220 horsepower and 139 pound-feet of torque, which makes this one of the more sporty and quick feeling Prius that you can buy. You have an all-electric range of 44 miles, and that's in the SE. The XSE and XSE Premium only gets 39 miles of all-electric range. The battery can be charged up on a 120-volt plug completely to full in 11 hours, or with a 240-volt, you're looking at 4 hours, which is pretty standard for the market. All right, let's talk about the interior here. It is a really nice interior, completely new for the Prius, with its own quirks, but a lot of cool stuff as well. We do have this nice leather-like soft-text material. You can see here on the seats, you have a kind of two-tone look with red stitching, extra red piping here, perforated. These are heated and ventilated seats, 8-way power adjustable, 8-way power adjustable for the driver, 6-way power adjustable for the passenger. Overall, it's a very premium, pretty upscale look for a Prius. You can see the two-tone from the seats translate into the dash as well with this. It's almost more of a pink copper look, but it goes with the red theming. We have LED lighting back here. It looks like it's blinking on the camera, but it is just a solid LED. to the human eye. It is obviously a push button start, and we've already got it on. We have our nice 12.3-inch touchscreen display for the center display, running Toyota's new interface here. We've seen this in a lot of different Toyota vehicles that we've reviewed recently. It's a nice enough system. I do have my gripes with it being a bit cluttered with some of the features that it has here. But overall, it's a good size and a really decent screen. And you can see a lot of different information about the Prius, including the solar panel and what you're generating off of that. Down from the screen are your vents, and then a lot of your AC and heat controls here. Below that, you have two USB Type-C ports, one for interfacing with the infotainment system, one for just charging. You also have an accessory plug there. You have a little bit of a shelf, cup holders. This can be lifted up and reveals an extra cubby. Moving back, right here you have a QI wireless charger, and your phone sits in there pretty well, and we'll start wirelessly charging your phone. You have the small knob here for your gear shifter. Again, the same that we've seen in a couple other Toyota and even Lexus vehicles. Push over and up for reverse. Once you got it into reverse, we do have the full 360 camera. So you can see the back up there and 360. And it does do the trick where as you're backing up, it uses what it knows from the front camera or the rear camera to show you what's underneath the car, which is always a cool feature there to have. Of course, you can see the camera going forward as well with a front-facing camera, which is great for parking, even though this is a smaller vehicle. Coming back to the gear shifter, push in right here for park. Over is neutral, over and back is drive. Back again is B, which is basically your most regenerative braking gear. You have a little toggle here for drive modes. And if we quickly look at the screen, as we toggle through it, you can see you have a normal, a sport, a custom, or an eco mode. We'll talk more about that as we drive it. You also get an indicator here on this screen what mode you're in. Beside your drive mode, you have an auto EV HV button. This will put you into EV mode. If you have enough battery, you have HV EV hold, which is also unavailable because our battery is not charged enough. You have an auto hold button here, traction control button, and your parking brake. Armrest is decently padded. Nice, decent size. You can throw some stuff down there. Two more USB Type-C charging ports. There's also USB Type-C charging ports in the rear, which makes every charging port in here a USB Type-C, no USB Type-A. Moving on to the steering wheel. This is a heated steering wheel. You can see the heated steering wheel button right here. This is where we get to some of the quirkiness of the Prius. This is a rather small steering wheel, a little bit oddly shaped. You've got all your function buttons on either side that are pretty easy to get used to and really easy to reach as you're driving. Again, you can see this in the camera, but you can't see it with the human eye. These blinking radars, this is actually shooting a radar at your face, which does things like tell you if you're distracted while driving, and it is a really aggressive system. If you look off to the side as you're driving at all, or if you're looking down at all, you're going to get a warning on your screen telling you to look forward. I tried to drive with it covered and it didn't give me any kind of warnings, but definitely if it sees you not looking forward, it will let you know. Could be a good feature. Don't love the idea of shooting radar at my face while I'm driving, but definitely not the first vehicle to implement this either. And then again, looking back further, we have our driver information display. When I first drove the new Prius, I really didn't like this. If you have your steering wheel up more, you can see that it really just covers the entire screen. You have to look under the steering wheel or way over to be able to see it. And this is kind of a more comfortable position for the steering wheel to be for me, but I do drive it with the steering wheel lower than normal just so I can see the screen better from my eye line. I don't think it's a deal breaker necessarily for buying this vehicle. It's just something you have to get comfortable and used to. And everybody I've seen complain about it has been on the taller side. So if you're shorter, you might not have an issue with this at all. But looking at this screen, you have a ton of information here, almost too much for the size of screen. It is actually a little bit difficult as you're driving if you're looking for something specific to see and read what you're looking for. Of course, we can see our temperature at 17 degrees. We can see that we're in HV mode. Our average MPG is 44.1. It's been just over 45 miles per gallon for most of the week that I've had this. Today, we've been letting it idle a lot more, and it suffered because of it. And I did take this and plug it in for a little bit at just one of the generic chargers. It said to get it to a full charge, it would have been 4 hours. We definitely didn't stay more than 30 minutes. But if you had a good charger at your house, especially if it's a 240 volt, you could plug it in overnight and get the most out of the fuel economy that this is giving you. Basically, during my week, I've used it as just a hybrid, not a plug-in hybrid. So you could definitely do better with that fuel economy, and we'll talk more about that as we drive. But again, I think this digital screen is good, and you do have other bits of information that you can get up there, but I do think it looks a little bit crowded, especially for not being super familiar with the setup. Maybe if you owned it and had a little bit more time with it, you could get more used to looking at it. We also have an 8-speaker premium JBL audio system with amp in this XSE Premium. It actually does sound really good. A lot of bass, probably a little bit too much bass for my liking. But with that, I think it's time to get this thing out on the road. We'll start talking about how it drives, a little bit more about the economy, and then we'll wrap it up talking about the price and some of my final thoughts. Let's get it. All right, let's get this drive started. Let's put it into gear and take off. We are in EV mode to start off with. Again, 44 miles or 39 miles in the XSE and XSE Premium all electric range. But of course, we don't have a full charge here, so we're definitely not going to get that. And as soon as you really put your foot down, it wakes up, but it kicks that gas on pretty quickly. So the full week that I've been driving it, I really only charged the battery up once, and again, it was for about 30 minutes. We didn't get a whole lot of charge in that time. So I've been driving this thing basically just like the Prius hybrid, not a plug-in hybrid. So I'm not taking full advantage of the electric motor for more fuel economy. That being said, the fuel economy we are getting at just about 45 miles per gallon is still really good. So the actual EPA numbers here in the SE is 52 miles per gallon or 127 mpge, and the XSE and up is 48 miles per gallon and 114 mpge. So we're really close to that average miles per gallon. And again, if we use this more as an electric plug-in hybrid more than just a hybrid, that 114 mpge sounds really good, and you could probably get closer to it if you charged it every night and try to use that EV only mode as much as possible. And it's definitely doable. And you can see with that 220 horsepower combined, Prius gets up and goes. Should we do a 0 to 60 in this? Maybe we will. Toyota says this thing can do a 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds. Again, maybe we'll test that out here in just a second. We do have those drive modes that I showed you, the normal drive mode, which we've basically kept it in all week. You have an eco mode, which improves the hybrid system efficiency by limiting power in response to light to moderate acceleration pedal input. And then you have the sport mode, which enhances dynamic performance and acceleration, obviously sacrificing economy. So now we have it in sport mode. The acceleration comes on a bit quicker through the corners. Prius is pretty flat. You obviously have a low center of gravity in this, so you're not going to get much body roll. Suspension is good, braking is good, even the feel of the steering and braking are really good, and acceleration out of turns is good. All right, and just for you guys, Let's do a quick 0 to 60. Still in sport mode, come to a complete stop. Ready, set, go. $60. That didn't feel particularly fast, but it is what it is. This is a Prius, but the Prime is probably a little bit more fun than just a regular Prius if you need something like that out of a plug-in hybrid vehicle. So there are a few quirks, a few things that I would say I don't like about the driving experience. One, I kind of already told you, is my seating position. It looks really great on the camera, but if I had the steering wheel up more where it would be a little bit more comfortable for me in my height, it would be blocking the screen even more. And that screen is pretty cluttered. You can change things around, make it a little bit less cluttered, but I like to see a lot of the information. It's just, there is so much packed into that one little circle that we have here. It's a bit difficult to reason about. Probably after driving it for some time, it would get easier, but just for now, for this week, it's been a little difficult, especially turning on your cruise control and safety settings and things like that, which this does have. While this is a small vehicle and easy to park, easy to maneuver, you can't see the front of the vehicle at all from the driver position. So you do have to rely on your cameras a lot of the time to know how far up into a parking spot you're parked, or how close you are to another vehicle parking in a driveway or something like that, because the nose can be a little deceptively long. My only other real complaint about the Prius, at least this Prius Prime, is the engine noise, or the noises altogether. Nothing about the sounds of this vehicle sounds premium or sophisticated. The engine is loud and, again, doesn't sound great. Even in EV mode, that electric motor powering the wheels doesn't sound particularly good. I couldn't really get it on video, the sound, but it just doesn't sound great. So if that's something you look for in a vehicle, just something to note. We really didn't touch on the back seats during the interior talk. This is a compact vehicle, but there's actually a decent amount of room back there. We had the kids 3 wide. During the week that I had this vehicle, well, it's a little bit tight as expected. They did fine. You could use this as a small family runner. But with that, I think it's time to, we'll pull back over. Let's talk about the price of this thing. Let's talk about a little bit of the competition. I'll give you some of my final thoughts and if I would recommend it. If the exterior updates and interior updates made it worth buying a Prius. Let's get to it. All right, with that, let's quickly talk about the price of the Prius Prime. The base SE starts at $32,975. This one, the XSE Premium, is at $39,670. And while $40,000 is a lot of money for a smaller Toyota vehicle, everything that you get in here is definitely worth that price. It's got a nice exterior. I was definitely more in love with it when I first saw it than every time I see it now, but it's still a lot nicer than the previous generations. Interior, I think, has improved really great. I really like the interior in this XSE Premium. Touchscreen is really nice. All the features that you get, the seats are really comfortable. My biggest gripe is probably the driver information screen just being a little too cluttered, and a little bit of the issues with the steering wheel blocking that screen for somebody my height where I have to sit and where's most comfortable for me. Other than that, pretty fantastic. And obviously there are a ton of other hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and EVs on the market today that just weren't on the market when the Prius first came out. It's got a lot of great competition out there, depending on exactly what you're looking for. So it makes sense that Toyota's trying to set the Prius apart with some better design, better interior. Overall, it's a vehicle that I do like, that I would recommend if you're in the market for a hybrid or plug-in hybrid. It's hard to go wrong with the OG that's been around and doing it for the longest time. And at least initially, you'll be the person with the new sleek looking vehicle. Probably once they've been out for a while, it'll get the same stigma that Prius always gets, but at least you'll be saving fuel along the way and have a really nice interior. With that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it might have been a little bit different or more rushed than some of my other videos. With it just being so cold out here, it's tough to get good video. But hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. Subscribe to the channel if you're into automotive reviews. We do a different one every week. You should also go check out txgarage.com, where we've got a lot of written reviews as well as event news coverage from a lot of great authors over there, not just myself. But with that, guys, that's all I got for you in this one. Thanks for watching.